Hello Fragrance family, welcome to Fragrance Therapy. I'm your host Alam. Now it feels like Armaf has two flagship lines. Of course, one is the Club de Nuit line and the other is the Odyssey line. I personally own 20 freaking Odyssey fragrances and they keep coming out with new ones. But in my opinion, the one that made this whole line take off was the original Odyssey Mandarin Sky. This thing out the gate was super popular. Then, of course, they released the Elixir version. I believe this came out last year. I think this one was equally popular. And now they have just released the vintage edition. Let's go over all of them. I'll rate the latest one. Then I'll see if they're unique enough to pick them up individually or if there's just too much redundancy here. So with all that said, let's jump in. So first off, let's talk about the original Armaf Odyssey Mandarin Sky. This one was inspired by JPG Scandal Pour Homme. And this thing has a really bright, juicy, and citrus opening. But this is not your typical freshie. Because this thing takes those juicy, fruity notes that you find in fresh fragrances and it mixes it with like really strong sweet caramel and tonka gourmands. That blend of fresh and gourmand helps this like DNA stand out. Also has this very clean, deep, woody and ambery base. It's playful, it's youthful, but I think it's one anybody can pull off because it's super duper easy to wear. Now I am going to go over the notes of each one and I'm going to flash them on screen so you guys can get a visual of the differences. But for this one, on top you get mandarin orange, regular orange, saffron, and sage. Of course, that's those fresh spices and fruity opening. In the mid, you get caramel, marigold, and tonka bean. Like I said, it's those gourmands that really makes it like a different type of fragrance. And in the base, you get ambroxan, cedar, and vetiver. Now, performance was a big issue with this one. It is not great. I'm talking about longevity of maybe 6 hours max. Projection is good for maybe the first hour or so, but it's not great. For me, at the end of the day, this fragrance is like great for casual wear. Some people say that's best for colder weather, and it's a cold weather only fragrance. I think you can rock this in fall and winter, of course, but also at least the spring. Probably best to avoid in the super high heat. Might come off a little bit too cloying at that point, but this is an easy dumb reach fragrance. It's mass appealing. I'll be hard-pressed to find someone that actually really thinks that this thing is terrible. So the next release was Armaf's Mandarin Sky Elixir. And as the name might suggest, this is a richer, darker take on the original Mandarin Sky DNA. What you get with this one, it's a cross between JPG Scandal, still the most prominent scent profile, but you also get Invictus Victory Elixir style of sweetness in there. Definitely does live up to the Elixir name, because when you hear Elixir, the thing that I think of is like deeper, darker, maybe even a little bit more dense and sweet. Because what this thing does still keeps that citrus opening, but then it adds this noticeable kick of spices. And even the gourmands in the mid, they're a bit thicker, a little bit sweeter, heavier gourmands. Heavy vanilla sweetness here. The dry down gets a little bit more smoky, a little bit more mature. Definitely more bold and mature than the original. Like I said, everything is a little bit heavier. Add some weight to the entire thing. So the notes again, on top you get mandarin orange, regular orange, black pepper, cardamom, and lavender. In the mid you get caramel, tonka bean, patchouli, and that added smokiness with incense. And in the base, a very strong dose of vanilla and vetiver. I really like this release. It took the backbone of the original's DNA and added a significant twist. Feels like a true evolution of the scent profile. Also, they significantly improved the performance in this one. This one jumps easily to like 7.5 to 8 hours on skin. Strong projection for the first couple of hours. Definitely the best performer of the three. Now that added sweetness, those spices, and that smokiness make it a good option for nighttime, especially for date nights. This one is truly a cold weather fragrance only. Think fall and winter. The freshness in the opening is there, but is the most fleeting out of all of the three releases. And this one leans much more into those sweet gourmands, that spicy, smoky denseness. So that leads us to the latest release, which is Mandarin Sky Vintage Edition. Now I've heard that this closely resembles JPG Scandal Absolute, and honestly I can't say if it's true or not because I have not gotten my nose on that original one. So I can't say how it compares to the OG Scandal Absolute, but I can tell you how it compares to these two. Because essentially this is a more refined, smoother version of the original Mandarin Sky. This focuses on ambers, woods, a little bit of spices, more than just the pure sweetness of the OG. The citrusy opening is still present in this one. Feels a little bit fresher, a little bit higher quality. It removes some of that sharpness that clone houses are known for, especially when they're using like a strong citrus note. Also has a bit of aromatics in the opening. Definitely probably the most aromatic of the three. But the biggest difference that comes between this and these two is this one has like dosed up clean florals and also stronger amber accords. All those changes make it a little less outright sweet than both of these two, and instead it gives you like a lighter, airier quality. But because of those changes, I do think that the performance suffers a little bit, especially when you compare it to the Elixir. Maybe a small step up from the OG. I'm getting maybe 6.5 hours, maybe 7 if you overspray. Projection, again, is right alongside with this one. It's good, but it's not great. What I can say for this one though, it is definitely the most versatile. This is a great office-friendly scent. You can use it for casual wear. You can also dress it up a little bit and use it for evening wear. This is also one I think you can use year-round. Of the three, I think this is the one that you can truly say this is a year-round fragrance. So let's break down the differences. So let's break down sweetness. Overall, when you're talking about sweetness, it's definitely in this order: Mandarin Sky Elixir, the original Mandarin, and then Vintage Edition. If you're looking at like depth and richness, I would say that maybe these two swap places. Performance also, I would keep it in this ranking. Elixir is the strongest performer, Vintage number 2, and the OG number 3. But if you were to ask me what do I think about this one, I'll say I think overall it's really, really good. Nothing about it is divisive or challenging. I did deduct some points because of the performance. It took a step back from the Elixir, but it is, again, the most versatile, so it's the one you could probably get the most use out of. So with that, I would give it a solid 7.75 out of 10. I think it is definitely worth checking out, but there is a caveat. Do not pick this one up, especially if you own the OG, because 100% for sure you do not need all three. One should be more than enough. Depends what you're looking for. The backbone stays the same. Fresh citrus blend with sweet gourmands, but the emphasis in each one changes a little bit. The original Mandarin Sky, fun, playful, easy to wear, 3-season fragrance. Elixir, darker, richer, more seductive, but probably the least versatile. And then Vintage, it's smooth, it's warm, it's high quality, and it is the most versatile. If you were to ask me, if you had to only choose one, the one I would choose is Mandarin Sky Elixir. This is my favorite one in the line. I love a good twist or a hybrid fragrance, but no, this is the least versatile. At this point, if I was going to pick a second one, I would pick the Vintage Edition, but I would only pick this one if you don't have this one. It's just a more versatile, higher quality option. I think it improves on the OG, but still, it's just way too close to the original to pick up if you already own this one. So there you have it, folks. My thoughts on the Odyssey Mandarin Sky fragrances, and giving you my thoughts about the newest release, which is Vintage Edition. Let me know in the comments if you've tried these, which one is your favorite, or if there's another scandal type of fragrance that you like better. I know there's like Checkmate King by Armaf. There's also Dumont has one. I think it's like Soprano Fury or something like that. And also please hit the like and subscribe button so we can keep growing this channel together. Every subscription does count. It's a small act from you, but really does help the channel grow. And as always, stay tuned for more honest, affordable fragrance content. Until next time, I'm out.